is our first alumni interview for the Alumni Interview Series. So basically what this series is all about is reconnecting the D7 community and also the D7 alumni by introducing who are our alumni and what are they doing with their future endeavors and how did they get there, learning their journeys and learning a little bit more about their experiences. So this is a great opportunity for all of us to network with each other, get some insight of what it is like in the adult world, and so on and so forth. So I'm Olivia Trompetta. I am a JMU alumni, so my organization was Filipino Americans at Madison, so FAM. I graduated this past May, so the COVID-19 class, graduated studying industrial design. I am currently the 2020-2021 Alumni Relations Chair for D7, and I'm really excited to introduce you all to Alden Rivera, who is a ODU, Old Dominion University alumni from 2018. And he's going to talk a little bit about his experiences, what he's doing now, and all things amazing about him. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it to him. Hello, Alden. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Olivia, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, doing great. So Alden, let's go ahead and get started.
So again, my name is Alden Rivera. I graduated from Old Dominion University back in 2018. I got my Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration and Information Systems and Technology. So just to keep it in short, I studied IT in school. What I do now outside of school or after school in my professional career, I work as a cybersecurity sales engineer with a cybersecurity company, RSA Security. So the company is generally well known for the RSA tokens, something that is usually held by an individual to get them into whatever it is that they need to get into, whether it's like business-wise, like their corporate network, or even anything that goes beyond I guess the cloud or whatever. So one of the things that I do in the company is I primarily have a niche. I have my niche in one part of the portfolio, which is identity. And with identity, I work with secure ID, like those tokens, and also work on developing these relationships with the customers to see how we can try to get them moving forward with not only identity, but even other things that are a part of their infrastructure and their business. Before I left ODU, there was something called Duo, which is something similar to what RSA has to offer. And basically in the same thing, it's something that you kind of use to get yourself moving into getting into these applications that you need, like Blackboard or now Canvas, or even like emails and things like this. And I think it's I think it's some pretty cool shit. It's like one of those things, like I grew up wanting to, I was always curious. Like I've always been curious, and I think that's like a really good trait for others to try to carry and have, because like curiosity, I don't know if any of y'all have watched Stranger Things, but the teacher in that show had said this one thing, once you something about curiosity, but like, once you go beyond curiosity or something, there's a lot of things that you can go through within this door. And I like to try to build things. I like to try to like figure out how things work. And so here I am today.
Awesome. Alrighty. So we have Danny here asking, did you always know you wanted to major in IT? And how were you able to find information systems and technologies?
Really bad at math. I didn't really like chemistry, and I didn't do too well in school. So I was just talking to one of my friends that I had met through FAFSA. His name is Josh Abrio, and he said, yo, dude, you should do IT. And I was like, I don't know about this type of stuff, but okay, I'm gonna go ahead and join it anyway. I'll do that anyway. So I switched my major after my first semester at ODU, and I honestly never really looked back. I'd use that as an opportunity to try to go ahead and expand and network with a lot of the people that were in my classes. Like basically everybody that did IT over at ODU knew each other, and we know each other to this day. You know, we I mean, we knew what we were getting into with these classes. We shared notes. I mean, like honor code, of course, but like you know, we were able to help each other on these projects that we needed to get done, because sometimes we didn't understand this. Some people didn't really understand how to do some C++ coding, and I was able to help them out with that. I didn't really understand how to use Visio, and then, you know, I had some people helping me out with that, and it's well-rounded, and it ended up applying itself to getting out there into the workforce. And I used the opportunity that I had, not only within FAFSA, but also with ODU's IT. So there is a club. It was called ISPMP, Information Systems and Project Management Professionals, and I made a shit ton of friends through that. It was a great experience. I was able to get around to seeing how I could leverage this resource as a way for me to get the experience that I wanted. And yeah, I mean, honestly, didn't really like I had mentioned, I've always been curious, and I always like building things, and I try to translate IT in the manners of how can this be applied to helping others transform and build their businesses. And as I went through school, I knew that there was something way beyond it, where there's something way beyond school that I knew that I wanted to like seek, like, and I saw it after it, and I wanted to get internships because I was bored. I didn't think I was getting a lot of, I wasn't getting a lot of the exposure that I wanted through these the classroom setting.
Right.
So I'm like, man, I need to get out. So beyond like FAFSA, beyond ISPMP, and beyond like ODU-IT, like there are people who knew people, and it's something that you can even find through like D7 or even the Find organization. So I went to a house party for one of my friends back in 2016. He was a Mason student, so he was part of D6, and honestly, I made like the best connections through there. So because of him being around Mason, and then a lot of the friends that I met through him, I got more connected to the people that are here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And from there, I met a friend through a friend who had a friend who was looking to hire for a new intern for this company up here in Herndon. And it's one of the biggest companies, multinational conglomerates in the world, Cisco Systems. And I thought, oh, cool, that's pretty interesting. The job title was to be a network engineer, and I did not know a damn thing about network engineering, but and the reality of it is, like, champions step into these situations that they're really unfamiliar with, and they figure it out when they get there. And I mean, I went through the interview process. It was really cool. I interviewed with my supervisor, and he offered me the job, and the reason why was because he liked my personality. He really liked that I didn't say anything along the lines of this is what I can bring to the table, but there's a lot that I don't know, but I'm willing to learn, and I'll be able to figure it out and provide value to what I'm doing here, even as an intern, and go above and beyond my role. So I thought it was pretty cool. So as a network engineer, I worked in a lab. I worked in this data center called the Customer Proof of Concept Lab. So over at Cisco, I just worked within a lab to develop our customer infrastructures that involved a lot of Cisco's best practices and products. So whether that be like routers, switches, or servers, or anything of the likes, anything that brought in some third-party products and exposed it to how Cisco can customize it and deploy it into the customer's environment. And it was incredible because I had the opportunity to work with like a lot of sales engineers and a lot of other customers, and basically I just like the concept and ideas of me helping people and helping them, provide some value for their businesses and just have them moving forward. And I knew that there was a whole lot beyond that data center. Like even after I graduated from ODU, I got a full-time offer with them, with Cisco, to be in that lab, to run it as like a lab manager and a lab administrator. And I thought that was okay, but I knew there was a whole lot beyond that lab. So like I sought after other roles that involved me being on customer sites. And then yeah, I was able to get this job with the RSA, which I thought was pretty cool. Being here in the DMV, I was able to make these connections, like way beyond fine, way beyond like D7, D6. I got out there into like, the corporate workforce, and even the tech field, and it's like very expansive. It's really big around here in the DMV. So like, I took the opportunity to just go ahead and just reach out to the people, and have questions. That's like one of the things that's one of the things that should always be done, is always like have these questions, because everybody would say something like, you'll be a fool for once if you don't even ask a question, but like, you'll be a fool for a lifetime if you don't even ask a question at all. Again, that also wraps itself around like curiosity. I'm like, I really wanted to figure out how like I can get out of this lab and out into like a life fulfilling role, like what it is to be a sales engineer now. And so, yep, here I am.
Could you talk a little bit more about your transition from going to ODU to Nova, or like how was the transition? What happened during that time, and things like that?
Yeah, I definitely I skipped a bump in that story. So I graduated from ODU in 2018, but I got this job offer from Cisco in 2016. So, like, I ended up going through this like interview process with Cisco, because I wanted it. I wanted it really bad. But upon getting this offer, I was like, oh, dude, what do I do now? Because like, I feel like I might need to transfer schools, until I figured out that ODU offers their IT degree online. And just like that, I mean, I already did all of my prerequisites and stuff, and the only thing that I needed to complete were all the 300 and 400 level classes at ODU. And I mean, honestly, everything was offered online. It was plain and simple for me to go ahead and take care of that. And so I basically went ahead and dropped everything I had in Virginia Beach and Norfolk, and then I just up and moved up here to the DMV. And I mean, honestly, I haven't really looked back since, because I made it a move to try to move up here, right, and flourish, and try to at least make an impact, and at least try to provide some value to maybe a friend, or even like whatever it is that I do at work, and anything else beyond that too. So it was a little bumpy at first, but I mean, I was able to get through it. I mean, it was just like I said, this is like champions step into situations or spaces that they're unfamiliar with.
Right.
They just got to figure it out. I mean, like, I had to figure things out. I didn't really know. I mean, even though I had my friend Andrew that I met through his party, like, I still needed to try to figure out if I could, like, expand my network, make more friends, and do other things. So, I mean, I just went up and about and just did my thing.
So then I guess about that, you talk about how you have connected with so many people, meeting these people in the DMV area, just talking to those at ODU FAFSA. Like, how did you go about networking or talking about professionalism per se? Like, was it through cold calls, messaging? Was it casual? And then you started talking more about your goals? Or in other words, like, how can other people be able to network with others? Do you have any tips on how others can network?
I think everybody should always be prepared with like a simple 30-second elevator pitch. I mean, like, I don't do any cold calls as an engineer. I don't do none of that sort of networking event. Like, I went to one back in 2017, and I went with somebody who was able to introduce me to this person, and then from there, uh, just get into conversation. Like, I guess it's the simple things that you can try to like point out to try to develop a conversation with somebody that will have it moving the way that you will like it to. You could say something like, "Oh man, I really like those shoes. Um, they're pretty cool. Where'd you get them from?" Or like, I don't know, something along the lines of that. I mean, it makes it that easy, and then you just can continue to expand on the conversation. Introduce yourself. I mean, you don't need to go into that elevator pitch unless they even ask you about it. I mean, like, if you were to set that elevator pitch right then and there, then I can consider that being like a robotic thing to do, because I mean, you don't just go up to somebody and be like, "Hi, my name is Alden Rivera. I work at RSA Security and I like bubble tea." Well, that's pretty weird. But I mean, it's better to be like, "Hey, yeah, like your shoes. What's your name?"
What's your name?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's always good to try to have business cards in hand and try to make an even exchange with somebody that you meet in the process of doing so. Like my friend Gil Khan, he gave me his business cards. What I like to refer them to is trading cards. The trading card is good to have because it has you remember somebody that, I don't know, they may be looking for a job, they maybe want to learn a little bit more about your business, or you probably just want to make a friend and then give them a business card. It's simple as that. That's the best way to try to go about being out there in the professional field and getting to know people. I mean, in a position for a lot of people that are still in school or are about to be graduating soon, it's always good to go ahead about trying to get these. I mean, yeah, you could try to set up some cold calls, or maybe set up some messages, like go on LinkedIn or something and do a little bit of the research that you want on somebody or like a business or something that you may want to do. So for example, me being in IT, I wanted, like, I didn't know I was going to be an engineer, but I was thinking about being maybe an analyst or a consultant at one point. And so I used the resources of whatever's on LinkedIn, like, that search bar, to go ahead and look up consultant and analyst and see who was in my interconnected field, like, third plus, second plus, or like even like a connection that I even have myself, and try to reach out to people in that sense to ask them a little bit more about, "Hey, I'm interested in learning more about you and what you do with X company, and I want to learn a little bit more about how you got yourself into this position. And I was wondering, if we can set some time for a call." I mean, I do that from time to time with a few of the customers that, one of the territory reps that I have. So like with me as an engineer, I have a territory rep and I have a target account rep. So the target account rep already has, we both have these accounts that we work with, but my territory rep is the one who was like a bounty hunter. She's seeking out these accounts for us to gather and try to, build our rapport and build business. I reach out to these customers and introduce myself, whether it is with like a simple email introducing myself. I'm a local SE with RSA, and I recently heard about you looking into moving forward with you or something like that. Get to learn a little bit more about you and your business, or anything of the like. I mean, translating that to to like people that are fresh out of college or even still in school looking for that internship or like that new grad job, I mean, do the same in that sense. It's plain and simple. The only thing that would hold you back is yourself. If you're scared, like there's nothing wrong with, I mean, everybody's scared of trying things out, but like, you know,
Yes.
once you do it, I mean, you go about building up that confidence and it kind of develops itself as like a characteristic to get you moving forward the way that you want. You know, you're, as an individual, I mean, we're all in charge of our own careers and what we make of it. And especially within a time like this, like COVID situation, this pandemic, I mean, it's a good time for us to try to refresh and think about some things that we could try to build up to make us who we want to be.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, especially during this time, I definitely agree. When COVID-19 started, all the resources came out. There were, at least from my point of view, there were mentors, there were companies who were offering their resources to help university students, or even just basically anyone. An example of that would be the Adobe Creative Suite. That they gave out their softwares basically for free for the first 3 months, and that was an opportunity for anyone to be able to pick up like Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, any of those kinds of resources. And to your point, I do agree that like it is a lot of confidence building and just trying to get yourself out there and getting basically getting yourself out of that comfort zone for others to be able to notice you and also see how amazing you are. So I really do preach to that, and agree to that 100%. So I guess that'll lead to our next question of, tell us a little bit about the obstacles or things that have blocked you from your goals, or how were you able to achieve them?
Story time, actually. And it's a good story because like I learned a lot about myself and hoping that it could provide some value to a lot of people. So when I had moved to Nova, I felt like, you know, I made like a really big leap and a big jump to go ahead and try to move forward with something good. And I felt like I had a lot of good momentum building up at the time. Like I was doing really well in school. I had a really bomb internship. And then after that, I mean, like, honestly, I just knew that the momentum was building. I continued to build more connections, but then, you know, I went out skateboarding by myself one day, and then I got into like a really bad accident, a skateboarding accident, and I hit my head pretty hard. It resulted with me getting like a hematoma. If you know that, it's basically like a traumatic brain injury, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's some crazy shit. It's some crazy shit, because like, I don't know, I could have been a vegetable or a lot worse than that, but like I guess with a lot of the support that I was able to gather from like family and friends, and like I was in the hospital for a little bit, and like that was kind of draining on like my mental, and then also like anything physical and even emotionally. So I got out and I was like sad for quite some time, but I knew that I couldn't be sad forever. So like, because like I felt like I had a lot of things gone, or a lot of the momentum that I had was gone. But no, I mean, honestly, I tried to keep a positive attitude in that sense, and I just kept myself, like, even if I was like, you know, like I hit rock bottom from like a roller coaster and something like that, I just built myself from that. I mean, it's like one of the stories it's like hard for me to try to like talk about, because I don't really talk about it, but I think one of the things that it has helped me with is understanding that vulnerability is a really good characteristic to have in order for you to know who you really are.
Yeah.
And in that sense, like I knew that like bad, but it's not going to be bad forever, and I can be better. So I kept that mindset, and it built me up. It built me up as I continually progressed moving forward. I mean, shoot, luckily I didn't lose my internship, and Like I had summer classes, but I had to drop it, or like actually my sister like logged into my ODU account. She withdrew me from those classes. I'm like, dude, I want to take these summer classes because I want to graduate on time. I wanted to graduate on time, like, but I mean, I needed to give myself some time to heal, like, you know, because it's a brain injury. And I mean, shoot, it's kind of like a miraculous thing because, like I said, I thought I would have been like a vegetable or something, but I mean, I think I'm pretty well off with whatever it is I do now. And yeah, that's probably one of the biggest obstacles that I had ever faced. Like one of the most impactful moments of my life so far, and it was a learning opportunity. I mean, shoot, learn a little bit about yourself when you're in a hospital bed, but also in different circumstances. Like,
Right.
I'm grateful for all the friends and family that had stuck around, you know, shown their support during that time. And yeah, I'm really grateful that nobody ever really gave up on me. And like, I'm proud to say that I never really gave up on myself.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry, yo. That was deep. What advice do you have for young engineers who are nervous about starting internships, especially with no background experience?
Okay, so back to what I was saying. When I started my internship at Cisco, I was so freaking nervous, dude. Because I didn't know anything at all, but like, even my supervisor at the time knew that I had enough to show, in the sense of like, it's beyond like my major, and it was because I was able to provide to him something in that interview process. Like I don't know a lot about network engineering, but I'm curious to learn, and that's the thing that should, again, like, you should always be curious. You should always want to have that willingness to learn, even outside of like this internship, to try to provide the value that is getting put forth into whatever it is that you're, you know, like, you put your foot into the door, but like, what do you get out of it? Or like, what are you actually putting in? What are you actually doing when you're putting your foot in the door? Like, you should be at least be doing a little bit of something, you know. Have notes in hand, have a pen in hand or whatever, take some notes, jot some notes, pay attention. And I mean, yeah, it's okay to be nervous, but if you are so nervous for such a prolonged period of time, it practically promotes like being stagnant in a way. And being stagnant, again, is not growing. And if you're not growing, you're not learning. And if you're not learning, you're not doing a lot of anything at all.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that is something to also keep in mind, especially with internships. It is an opportunity to learn. Like, we sometimes, especially for me at least, I go into a very perfectionist mindset, or like, I need to be able to do this, and this is the only things that the employers are going to look for for them to hire me, and things like that. But ultimately, if you have like what you have been driving and what you have been emphasizing so much during this time of our conversation, is like, just being willing to learn shows a lot, especially on the other side to the employers. If you're willing to learn from your mistakes, willing to learn new skills, and so on and so forth. And on top of that, also goes back to your conversation about vulnerability too, I believe.
Yeah, most definitely. But yeah, never be afraid. I mean, if you feel like you don't have experience, I mean, you have experience that is shown when you're offered that internship in the first place. And people are not going to be offering you internships or job opportunities if they're looking into you as somebody that they want to, you know, invest their time in, invest money, time, or whatever, and for you to get the gears grinding, get your feet moving, and doing whatever it is that you want to do.
Right. Let me see, what else do we have here? Could you talk about, so as we talked about, you had your internship. So you had your internship with Cisco. You did IT online for ODU. So you had a lot of experience. You had a lot of experience, and you worked with Cisco afterwards. Could you talk about the transition between college and then going to your real job? And like, did the classes that you took at ODU, did they help? Were you able to apply to them? And also talk about what you wish you would have done, or what you would have done differently if you were to be back in college.
No, honestly, I just went straight to work. Like I don't think I gave myself that time to have a break. And I'm not saying like I'm much of a workaholic or anything of that sense, but like I knew that like if I had just given myself that time to relax, then I kind of felt like I'd probably be left in like some stump and not feel like doing a lot of anything at all. So I got that job offer with Cisco. Actually, how it went was I graduated from ODU, and then I got this job offer with like some small company around here in Herndon, and I was only there for a short period of time. Like even when I graduated from ODU, I still had like a 3-month period with Cisco that they said, "Oh, you can stay with us until you find a job." And I'm like, "Oh wow, I'm gonna do that." But when I found the job, like I switched over to that company, and to be honest with you, I kind of hated it. It sucked. It was like, um, if it's top 5, it's definitely number 1. But also at the same time, I've never worked for like more than 5 people, so it's just like it was like one of the worst companies. So then like I was only there for like 3 months, and then Cisco hit me back up with another offer. I'm like, oh shit, I'm just gonna go ahead and take this. So like I didn't feel like I had much of a transition. It just felt like uh like I went down to ODU to like walk the stage, grab that little piece of paper, and then the next day I drove back up to Nova on a Sunday, and then on Monday I went back to work. And so but then I had to think about it in some ways. I'm like, oh man, so I'm out of school and I'm not taking classes. So what are some things that I can do to try to build like, like what can I do to make out of my time like right now? And I try to figure out like, some things in terms of finding new hobbies and things like that. But I don't think I found myself really invested into like a hobby until like the end of 2018, like going into 2019. So like one of the things I do is I compete in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is like super freaking fun. And so I mean I do that like every day. Try to think about that as like some class time. I train like twice a day, usually between like 11 to 12, and then 6 to 7. And I think about that as like some sort of class time, as a way of me to keep myself busy, and other things as well. I mean, beyond school, like I didn't think it's never a bad idea to like continue learning. So one of the things that I did was like went to go try to get like certifications. Like one of the certifications that I have is a Cisco certification in routing and switching, and working on another one. It's called CompTIA Security Plus. Pretty simple one. I mean, it's something that applies to whatever I do as an engineer, and it's pretty cool. And I think it's a pretty good thing to have, to kind of have like that street cred. Just in the case of somebody wanting to learn a little bit about me, like if you're to go on LinkedIn or something, you can see my name, and then behind that Security Plus or whatever. Or in the near future, I'm hoping to get like the Certified Information Security Systems Professional. I think that's what it's called. That's another certification that's like top tier. That's like top tier. So yeah, like that's like one of the things that you don't want to ever stop doing. Like again, you never want to stop learning, because again, if you stop learning, it kind of develops itself in different ways of me saying it, because I say it like one way and I'm about to say it another way now. If you stop learning, then you stop growing, and if you stop growing, then you're not really doing anything at all. So you kind of just need to keep these gears grinding in your head, keep the motor running, because I think the only time that it will stop running is when we're not alive. But that's like a really weird way of me saying it, but I mean, whatever.
It's all good. We know. We get what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Let me see. So I guess, so we talked about you do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you're working, you're learning new things. So could you talk about balancing, having your work-life balance, or what it's like trying to work, also taking care of yourself, making sure mental health is still in the forefront, so on and so forth?
There's two types of people in this world. There are people that are water bottles, and then there's people that are soda bottles. So let's just say, for example, you shake up a water bottle and you open it up, nothing really comes out of it. But when you shake up a soda bottle, I mean, when you open that cap up, I mean, it'll blow up. I mean, and as that applies to people, it's kind of just like, I mean, just be honest, be open and honest about how you feel, and talk about it with the right people, or be able to talk with people. Don't like you like one of the things that you wouldn't want to do in this life is know that you know people and then say that you talk to these people on a daily basis, but more so be in conversation with these people and know that you're able to talk with them, be empathetic, and show that you like, yeah, being empathetic is a really good thing, because like it shows that you actually care, you know. Like, and oftentimes I kind of, I mean, I try to show that I care to my mom or my sister or my girlfriend sometimes, but I mean, like it's never really a hard thing to do. It's just it's either you say something or you don't, or just talk with people. That's all it really is. Just talk with people. Hold on. Another question. When do you know when to leave a company for a new one? Dude. I'm like, I couldn't even think about that type of thing right now, because I love what I do. But in my situation at Cisco, I can talk about that. So going back to my experience of being full time there, I mean, I just knew, like I said, there's a world outside bigger than the data center, and that like I just wasn't, I guess I wasn't a fan of feeling like I was going about this like a role that was very stagnant, even though it was deemed like a dynamic role because I had the ability to learn a lot of things. But it's just like it was this constant thing over and over and over again. And like I love Cisco as a company, but just in that position, I just knew that I needed to go out and grow. And it's something that was like internally based within myself, and something that I knew, like if I stayed with Cisco and if I stayed in the same position for a little, like, I don't know, for another year, or if I wanted to set this as like my career, I don't think I would be getting anything out of it, or I don't think I would be growing any more than what was there in front of me. Like I grew as much as I could, but then growth ends itself, and then I just had to get out. It's something that, like, I guess it's something that you really know when you start going about really building that momentum, because like you have these things around you, like let's just say, like if you have your resume or something, like you can jot down all of the things, like accomplishments that you may have, but like, cool, I mean, personally, I don't think much of I don't really think much of accomplishments more than I do as momentum, because momentum is something that continually gets you rolling. You know, I think about like these small incremental wins as a way to build credibility and build more momentum to get me moving the way that I want to up into a better position. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
The question I have that came out of that is like, how are you able to track? How are you able to track and measure your goals, and what are your current goals now?
So as of right now, professionally, one of my goals is getting my Security Plus before the end of this year. So I'm just studying for that. Uh, I usually keep it on my Google Calendar as a like I get those daily reminders of these things that like I got something going on. Like let me go ahead and get some study time in, and it's usually during the weekday. I don't really try to study on the weekends because I want to like relax my head.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I get these like daily reminders that I should do this for like an hour or two to get something done. And like I said, that applies itself to me getting this new certification. So what is it? Like back in the beginning of August, I signed up for a strength and conditioning coach, mainly to get myself into the more competitive weight class for jiu-jitsu. And he's been helping me. He's been holding me accountable for like, you know, all the calorie counts, macro counting, the workouts that I'm getting into and things like that. Even applying that into some other things that you want, like, you know, you always want to try to find that one friend or group of friends that are very invested into the goal that you are, have like whatever it is that you have set, whether it be like work wise or life wise. I mean, you always need somebody to hold you accountable for like these goals, because like you can't really do everything by yourself.
Right. That makes sense. Having basically an accountability partner to keep both of you guys in check, making sure that you guys are following your goals. Just small reminders of like, hey, did you drink that glass of water this morning? You're hydrated. Congrats. Or just little things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have a question from Danny. What would you do with $1,000?
What would I do with $1,000? I probably use like $30 to buy a blender, so I can like make acai bowls, because I freaking love acai bowls. I've been eating that, like I eat like at least one a week. And it's not like it's a bad thing, but I also think it's a bad thing too. It's like I'm really addicted. But for the remaining $970, I mean, I found a way to make money, or have money make money for me. You know, like a couple of days ago, I bought stocks, and that's a means of, you know, as a means of making some sort of income, or even try to invest that money in ways of making some passive income. Because I mean, if it's some way to trying to obtain some type of goal, then I mean, like, I want to make this money work for me and not work for money at all. But definitely using that $30 to get a blender. Yeah.
I was gonna say, are you just buying your bowls now then until you get a blender, or?
Yeah, I'm just buying these bowls until I get a blender, whenever I feel like is the right time to make that move. Yeah. Yeah.
Alrighty, we have Julia, who asked, you kind of touched a little bit on this, but Julia was asking, how has FAFSA D7 community impacted you in the long run?
In the long run, so when I first started going to ODU, like, to be real with you, like, I felt like I was just going to high school 2.0, because like I went to Tallwood High School, and that's a school in Virginia Beach, and then ODU is like a like 20 minutes away from there. So but even then, I still didn't see a lot of the people that went to Tallwood at ODU, I don't feel like I had a lot of friends. And so I wanted to try to find a way to make some friends. I joined FAFSA as a means. I got a big, his name is Michael Reyes, like dopest guy in the world. He's a Navy officer. He's an engineer for the Navy, actually, which is
Oh,
pretty cool. Who had inspired me to, not go into engineering, but, at least try to pursue something to get around to be an engineer. And uh, like I had mentioned, my friend Josh Abrio, he actually, I think he went to ODU and he studied electrical engineering, but he switched over to IT. And fun fact about him, he works for a company up here as a cybersecurity engineer as well, which is, I think, is pretty cool. So like the friends that you like make are the friends that you remember, especially if they are set with making an impact on you, like anything that involves like the decision making. These are like real life choices that I had made, not because I said I wanted to do it, but because of like some really good influence from these people.
I gotcha. Wow, I didn't realize that your big was also an engineer too. It's like big like little almost.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did you talk to your big? So you talked to your big about opportunities in engineering, or did it just like, oh, cool?
No, I never really talked to my big about opportunity. He was on an ROTC and he was like busy with all that stuff. I mean, like, but we I mean, what we always actually really talked about was like sneakers and, and things like that. So but yeah, I mean, we're still friends, and it's a good friendship that I have with him.
Des, I'm pretty sure this is Destiny. She was asking, what was your experience like at ODU and in D7?
So my experience at ODU was, shoot, again, to be fairly candid about this, like, I wasn't like a really big party person, but I did like going out and I did like meeting these people, regardless of it being like this party or that party. And it was a really good experience because then it was just like, I had fun with you at this party. Now I want to learn more about you outside of it. And even in D7, I was frequently visiting VCU during like during a time period between like 2013 to 2015 to also go to parties and also meet other people as well that I ended up developing some friendships with in that case. So I mean, it was cool. I mean, like, never a dull moment because like you just remember these people and it's never like a dull conversation whenever you get in touch with them again.
So thank you, Alden, tonight for all your wisdom and all your experiences and answering all these questions. We have spoken before in our prep, I learned a lot about you and was super excited about this opportunity for D7 and also for you. So really grateful for you to share your experiences. As for everyone else who also participated and also was just listening into this Zoom conversation, thank you for joining us tonight. We will be continuing these series every second or third Wednesday of the month. So next month we will have Kyle Lorenzo, who is a grad student, and he'll be talking about graduate schools and everything else about that. He is a graduate from North Carolina State University. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, thank you, Alden. Hundreds and thousands of thank yous. Very grateful and glad that you were able to join us tonight.
Yeah, of course. And just my last remarks before we're at the top of the hour, end of this call. Yeah, to everybody listening in, thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure to be able to share my experience in school and also everything outside of it and a little bit about my life. And of course, please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you want to learn a little bit more about whether it is my career or even more about me. Again, like I said, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always open to meet new people and stuff. And yeah, definitely look forward to hearing from whoever tuned in on this call.
find them on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Get that extra connection. But
Yeah.
otherwise, thank you, Alden. Everyone else, have a great night. Thank you for listening in. Bye.